In 2018, a scientist in China announced that 2 children had been born with edited DNA. Not treated DNA, not tested DNA, edited. Their embryos had been altered before birth using a tool called CRISPR-Cas9, a technique precise enough to cut genetic code and rewrite part of the instructions that tell a human body what to become. The announcement shocked the scientific world. Committees condemned it. Journals debated it. Governments rushed to explain what should and should not be allowed. But the strange part is this: the argument was not new. Thousands of years before modern genetics, before microscopes, before laboratories, before anyone knew what DNA was, the oldest civilizations on Earth were already telling stories about the power to shape life. And in those stories, that power was not treated as ordinary knowledge. It was restricted. It belonged to the gods. In the Sumerian world, there was a word for the powers that made civilization possible. The word was me. Scholars usually translate it as divine powers, offices, functions, or decrees. But that translation is too soft. The ME were not just ideas, they were permissions. Kingship was a me. Writing was a me. Metalworking was a me. The power of speech, the power of judgment, the power to build cities, the power to organize society, these were treated as controlled forces, handed down, stolen, guarded, or transferred. In the myth of Inanna and Enki, Inanna receives the ME from Enki and carries them away. When Enki realizes what has happened, he sends messengers to recover them, not because someone stole poetry, not because someone borrowed a symbol, because the ME were operating rights over reality. The old stories describe civilization as something humans were given access to, not something humans fully owned. And buried inside that idea is one rule that still feels uncomfortable today. The power to create and alter life was not human property. In the Atrahasis Epic, humanity is created after a crisis among the gods. The lesser gods are tired of labor. They dig canals, carry burdens, and perform the work that keeps the divine order running. The solution is not negotiation. It is manufacture. A god is killed. His flesh and blood are mixed with clay. A new being is made to carry the workload. Humanity enters the story as a designed worker. That is not how modern people like to think about themselves. We prefer progress, freedom, invention, self-direction. But the oldest Mesopotamian texts are colder than that. They speak about creation like procedure, ingredients, roles, purpose, limits. In another Sumerian composition, Enki and Ninmah shape different kinds of human beings. Some are strong, some are weak, some are incomplete. The text is strange because it does not sound like simple birth mythology. It sounds like trial, error, and approval. Forms are made. Their ability to function is tested. Their place in society is assigned. Ancient scribes did not know the word genetics, but they understood one thing clearly. To shape a living being was the highest kind of authority, and authority always had an owner. That is where the old warning begins. If humans were made, then humans were not supposed to seize the role of maker. The Book of Enoch preserves a similar fear from a later tradition. In that text, the Watchers descend and teach forbidden knowledge to humanity. They teach metalwork, cosmetics, signs, enchantments, and hidden arts. The crime is not simply that humans learned. The crime is that boundaries were crossed. Knowledge came down from above before humanity was ready to hold it. The result was corruption, violence, and judgment. Different culture, different language, same structure. Someone above controls knowledge, someone below receives it, then someone below uses it in a way that changes the order of the world. That pattern is ancient. Now, look at the modern world. We do not call it divine power, we call it biotechnology. We can edit crops, we can alter animals, we can screen embryos, we can change genes associated with disease, we can store genetic data, synthesize DNA, and design organisms that never existed in nature. Some of this saves lives. That matters. A child born with a devastating inherited disease is not a philosophical puzzle to the family living through it. If a tool can prevent suffering, people will use it. But the old question does not disappear just because the motive is good. Where is the line? Correcting disease is one thing, enhancing intelligence is another, changing muscle growth is another, selecting traits is another, extending lifespan is another, editing embryos so the change passes to future generations is another thing entirely. At that point, the decision is no longer about one patient. It becomes a decision about a lineage, and no generation has ever asked the next one for permission. This is why the CRISPR baby announcement disturbed so many scientists. It was not only the experiment, it was the door. Once a human embryo can be edited, the question changes from can we do it to who gets to decide what a better human is. That is the exact fear ancient texts keep circling, not technology itself. Unauthorized creation. The Sumerians placed creation in the hands of Enki and Ninmah. The Watchers were punished for giving forbidden knowledge. Genesis tells of humans reaching toward divine status and being stopped. The Tower of Babel story is not just about language. It is about coordination. Humanity becomes unified enough to build upward, and the power above intervenes before the project is complete. Again and again, the same warning appears. There are powers humans can use before they understand the cost. And the most dangerous powers are not the ones that destroy life. They are the ones that redefine it. Nuclear weapons can end cities. Genetic editing can decide what kind of humans will exist after the cities are gone. That is why this question feels different. If we edit the code of life, are we healing creation or are we claiming ownership over it? The answer depends on who you ask. A doctor may say we are removing suffering. A parent may say we are protecting a child. A government may say it is national competitiveness. A corporation may say it is innovation. A military planner may say it is strategic advantage. But an ancient priest might have called it seizure of a ME, a stolen authority. The frightening thing is not that ancient people predicted CRISPR, they did not need to. The frightening thing is that they understood the moral shape of the problem. They knew that knowledge is not neutral once it enters the hands of power. They knew that the ability to create life would never remain only sacred or only medical or only private. It would become political, it would become economic, it would become military, it would become a way to decide who is improved, who is normal, who is defective, and who gets left behind. That is the hidden fear under the old myths. Not monsters, management, someone deciding what humanity should be. The comments under videos about ancient tablets show this very clearly. Viewers are not only asking whether the tablets are real, they are asking whether modern life has crossed a line. They connect the old stories to gene editing, artificial intelligence, nuclear weapons, algorithms, space programs, and the control of information. That reaction matters because people feel the pattern before they can prove it. They feel that civilization is moving faster than wisdom. They feel that decisions are being made in labs, boardrooms, military programs, and closed institutions, while ordinary people only hear about them after the fact. The ancient world gave that feeling a language. Forbidden knowledge, divine powers, watchers, judgment. Today we use cleaner words: research, innovation, optimization, security. But the old question remains untouched. Who gave us the right? There is a careful way to look at this. Confirmed. Sumerian and Mesopotamian texts do describe divine powers, human creation from clay and divine material, and gods associated with shaping humanity. Confirmed. Later religious traditions also warn about forbidden knowledge, boundary crossing, and humans reaching toward divine status. Confirmed. Modern gene editing exists, and embryo editing has already happened. Interpretation. These ancient stories can be read as symbolic warnings about authority over creation. Speculation. That the texts were literal predictions of modern genetic engineering, or that a specific ancient rule has now triggered a specific future judgment. That distinction matters, because the goal is not to pretend every myth is a lab report. The goal is to notice when myths preserve a problem we still have not solved. And this problem is real. If humanity can edit itself, then humanity becomes both creature and creator. The patient and the experiment. The child and the designer. the inheritance, and the engineer. The old texts would have recognized that as a dangerous crossing, not because they understood chromosomes, because they understood power. Near the end of the Gilgamesh story, the king searches for a way to escape death. He finds a plant that can restore youth but loses it to a serpent. He returns to Uruk without immortality. The oldest hero does not win eternal life. He learns the boundary. Modern humanity is no longer standing where Gilgamesh stood. We are not just searching for the plant, we are learning how to rewrite the seed. And if the old rule was this simple, that the maker's power does not belong to the made, then the question is no longer whether we can break it. We already have. The only question left is whether anyone is still counting. And if someone is, what category did we just enter? If you want the next record opened, subscribe.